Our next award is for the best musical revival of this year, Closer Than Ever. The first play, the revival of the first play that Darryl ever produced. Closer Than Ever opened off-Broadway in 1989, produced by Darryl Roth. The show, written by Richard Maltby Jr. and David Shire, was a continuation of the great off-Broadway tradition of topical reviews, and it won the Outer Critics Circle Award for Best Musical. Stephen Holden of the New York Times called the score one of the finest American theater scores of the last decade. And it's still delighting people several decades later. Last summer, a revival of Maltby and Shire's Closer Than Ever opened at the York Theater. It proved it was just as charming and relevant 24 years later, and the New York Times sang its praises again. The show featured charming and even marvelous performances. That's the Times talking, by the way. Do you recognize the review? By Jen Colella, George Dvorsky, Christiane Knoll, and Sal Viviano. I'm so glad that Closer Than Ever won an OBA Award this year, not only because it was a wonderful production of a wonderful show, but also because it gives us a chance to tip our hats to the intrepid York Theater Company and its producing artistic director, Jim Morgan. Because Jim and the York stay committed to developing and producing new musical theater works and rediscovering musical gems from the past. So I'm pleased to present the award for Best Musical Revival to Closer Than Ever, and its producer, the York Theater Company. Ladies and gentlemen, accepting the award, Richard Maltby Jr. and David Shire, the lyricist and composer of Closer Than Ever. Gentlemen, come by and have a... I'm so glad to meet you. All right. I got you one each. Oh, come over here and take a quick picture. And then... Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is so moving. It's customary to thank a lot of people, but we really want to thank a lot of people. I mean, we are unbelievably grateful. Yes, the show opened in 1989, ran for 9 months. It got some very nice reviews, a couple of nice awards. The New York Times didn't like it, for all of the quotes. But Stephen Holden liked the album a lot, but there was a new post-feminist critic who lasted only 3 months and celebrated her 3-month term by trashing Wendy Wasserstein and us. She thought all the female songs in the show were whinings. I thought, oh my God, that's what I'm so proud of. Shows go out in the world. I always joke that we do this in order to, communicate with people and touch them. But when that event happens, we're never there. With musicals in particular, these songs go out, the shows go out, and they affect people, and you never know about it. So we had sort of forgotten that this show, was still alive and was still meaningful. And we are particularly grateful, first of all, to Neil Berg, who came to David and said he would like to bring the show back. It was time to bring it back to New York. He did it with he brought in his partner, Adam Friedson, and Bud and Thelma Negley, who supported this project in a production that took place at the Queen's Theatre in the Park and another theater in Bristol, Pennsylvania. And then we moved it to New York. Thank heavens, the second thank you to the York Theater. And what was just said about New York is really true. They have been on a 2-year project to honor off-Broadway musicals. Hasn't gotten a lot of attention in New York, but my goodness what they have been doing to honor the artists who started their careers there. The shows they have done, some totally forgotten, some not so forgotten, but they've done an extraordinary thing. and they were open to letting us come in, and that was wonderful. We had to recast the show in the process, and I was terrified because I loved the original cast, and I thought, well, they're now old enough to play it, because these are sort of mature songs, and they were 30 when they were in their 20s when the show opened. But for some reason, they were not available in one way or another, and so a new crop of performers came in: Jen Colella, Christian Knoll, George Dvorsky, Sal Viviano, and I was directing this, so I asked them to come in and just simply inhabit the songs, do whatever they connected to, and then I sat back and watched what they were doing. You have no idea when you're writing something what you're writing. Suddenly these songs were alive in different people. They meant something else. They were touching. They were thrilling, and I don't know that we had any. I had no connection. I was astonished by them, actually, and astonished that I had anything to do with them. I was sort of disconnected from them. So those are the people that I really want to thank. Also Ted Shen and his wife Mary Jo, and Marty Granoff, who supported this production in a huge way. And someone else who David will speak about in a moment. And this production really gave the show back to us, gave us back to us. And that's an extraordinary and thrilling gift. And to be honored in this way is icing on the cake. Thank you very, very much.
As usual, the loquacious Mr. Word has used up most of our time, but he has quite generously left a very special thank you to me. It's a fact, kind of universally acknowledged in the business, that you cannot have a revival without an original production. And Daryl, you are magnificent. You gave the show to us the first time. And I have a vivid memory of my son at the time standing up in the light booth at the Williamstown Theater with your son next to him, who was also 10 years old, Jordan Roth, and Matthew Shire, hoping they could make it in the theater. I knew Daryl, we knew Daryl, in her pre-legend phase. And all I want to say is that in her pre-legend phase, she was just as charming, effective, enthusiastic, and supportive as she is in her post-legend. Thank you, Daryl.
But also thanking our musical director, Andrew Garrella, who really saved our lives.